This very, very cold and snowy day is day 14. I stayed warm throughout the night inside my sleeping bag, but it was very difficult to get out of it. Once I did, I had to deal with putting on cold and stiff shoes. While packing up, I had a hard time keeping my hands warm since there was so much snow. Luckily, someone had built a fire, so I was able to warm my hands up there. While taking down my tent, I had to take 1 or 2 breaks to go warm up by the fire.
Yeah, because he was the one who gave us the...
Alright, well, I don't want to, but I've made the decision to hike back 1 mile to a road where we're going to call a shuttle and get a hotel reservation for tonight. I hate to take another technically a negative 1 mile day today, but I woke up and my sleeping bag was wet, not the inside, the outside. But since it's down, I'm afraid that whenever I compress it, that it's going to get the feathers wet, and it's going to be wet when I get to the next shelter tonight. And I've heard that once down gets wet, it doesn't do anything, it doesn't keep you warm, and that could be dangerous. I told myself before I came out here that my safety comes first, whether that means that I'd have to hike farther to get to a shelter or get off the trail because it's too cold, and so that's what I'm doing today. Again, I don't want to, but it's one of those things where I have to make the smart decision. So I'm gonna get a hotel with Jelly Bean and Chris. Hopefully first step is to get a shuttle. So I'm just gonna enjoy the hike in the snow and be safe. We secured a shuttle that should be here probably in the next 10 minutes. We've been waiting for just about 50 minutes. We got a hotel and went out to lunch, but I didn't film anything else for the rest of the night. We had a 0 yesterday at the Microtel by Wyndham in Franklin, North Carolina. We pretty much dried out all of our stuff, and the breakfast was Slim Pickings this morning. I had a waffle, and then I went to the Walgreens just a little bit up the road and bought some orange juice. And we finally got a shuttle, but they're going to take us to Winding Stair Gap, and so we will hike southbound for the next 2.5 days back to Deep Gap. Apparently the road was still too icy and dangerous for the shuttle drivers to take us back to Deep Gap, so we're going to have to go southbound for a little bit, but I will catch you on the trail. We are back on the trail, and it is muddy. Still got snow on the ground, but it's really warm out here, so it feels good. It feels like a good hiking day. Yesterday, when I was talking to my mom, she asked me if it was awkward to stay in a hotel room with people that, I had only known for a couple days. And it's really not awkward. When you're out here and you talk to them, throughout the day and then, camp with them at night, you really get to feel like you know them. So it's really not awkward unless you eat something that doesn't agree with your stomach and you pretty much have to blow up the bathroom. That's a little awkward. And that happened to me yesterday. We ate at Fats Cafe in Franklin, North Carolina, and we had their famous firecracker appetizers, and I'm pretty sure it was those that my stomach felt like it was literally in knots. It hurt so bad, and I don't know if I've ever experienced that before, but I had to go to the bathroom so bad, and I probably went like 4 or 5 times. And when I got to the hotel, I looked, around downstairs, because usually there's a bathroom downstairs, so that I could go there and not have to use the one in the room. But it said that there was a sign on the door that said, due to COVID, it was reserved for employees only. So yes, at times it can be awkward staying in the same hotel room as people that you just met. But overall, it's not. But speaking of that, since I just told you that story, I am now privy hopping, meaning that I am looking ahead to see where the next privy is so that I don't have to dig a cat hole. So my plan was to eat lunch at this view in like a quarter of a mile, but I think I'm just gonna look at the view real quick and then go the other half a mile or 3/4 of a mile to the shelter, which has a privy, because my stomach is definitely better than yesterday, but not 100%. I really don't want to have to go in the woods. So that's what I'm doing now. It's hard right now. Something I've noticed about myself is I do great in the morning for like the first 3-ish miles, and then I stop to eat lunch, and then after that it's just harder. I move slower. Like before lunch I was thinking, man, I could go probably maybe to the next campsite past what I was planning. But now I'm like, oh man, can I make it to the shelter I'm planning? Whew. But it's still a beautiful day, still taking advantage of it. I just ran into a guy whose trail name is Goldilocks. I met him at Standing Indian Shelter 2 days ago, and he continued on the day that I got off trail. But anyway, since I'm hiking southbound and he's northbound, we passed each other, and he's like, I think I'm gonna call you Groovy, because you got all these bright colors going on, and your attitude right now is just so groovy. That's all I can think of, out of breath right now, but groovy. And so I told him, I said, I kind of like it. We'll see if it sticks. But I think that would be a fun trail name. We'll see if anyone else thinks so, and what I decide. I mean, I'm only 2 weeks in, so there's plenty of time to obtain a trail name. So, but for right now, the options are Bear Grylls, which Jelly Bean said that she thought about calling me that, because on the day that I said, well, I don't really want to get off trail, I could just suffer through the cold, but I don't really want to die, so maybe we should get off. That was 2 days ago, after my sleeping bag got wet. And then so Bear Grylls and Groovy, and so far I like Groovy better, so we'll see. It is the end of day 15. I hiked 7.3 miles today, and I'm staying at Long Branch Shelter. I'm actually staying in the shelter tonight, which is the first time that I'll be doing that. There's only like maybe 7 people staying in the shelter. Only 4 of us up top, and I know 2 of them, so that's more comforting. It seemed like a pretty clean shelter, so I figured I would try out the shelter life before all of these spiders come out. Hopefully I sleep well, because tomorrow is supposed to be an 11-mile day, which is another positive for staying in the shelter. I won't have to pack up my tent, so hopefully I can get moving earlier in the morning and get to hiking. So today was a good day. Someone built a fire, and we did a crossword puzzle around the fire, so that was kind of fun. I got to know some more hikers. So wish me luck sleeping in the shelter. Good night.